Hey guys, so in this video today, I'm going to kind of go over the basic ideas about adding permanent synthetic natural dreadlock extensions like these. I'm going to go over kind of what you need, a little bit on where to get it, but there's a lot of places to get synthetic hair. I'll try to link a website that will point you in the right direction. Another thing, I'm going to show you how to make them, and I'm going to show you how to install them. I'll try to eventually put time markers in the description so you can skip to the parts that are more relevant. As far as anything involving crochet hooking goes, I'm not going to show it in depth because I have made so many videos kind of showing how to crochet hook, and once you have the hang of it, basically it's just a different application to attach these extensions. So, and same with making them. When you crochet hook them, it's not too different. So I just wanted to give that heads up and enjoy the video. I hope you learn a lot from it. Hey guys, so today I thought I would show you the method I've developed to make synthetic dreadlock extensions. I have not extended my entire head of dreads yet, but I have extended my hairline with these synthetic dread extensions, and aside from the fact that my hair is a bit too dark for them, they attach very well, they look very natural, and you'd hardly be able to tell the difference, especially if you were someone who didn't know about synthetic extensions, which most people walking down the street probably don't. Allow me to tie my hair back so I don't look like a silly goof. So, alright. My method is the one that I kind of came up with on my own. And I was recommended to buy black and gold silver braids. So you go to bnghair.com, I think. Just Google black and gold hair supply or something. And you go to their synthetic braids section and you click on the silver braids. And what you'll get is a package of hair that contains synthetic hair, which looks like this, which actually looks a lot like real hair. I mean, you know, if I put this on my head, you wouldn't be any wiser to know that it was fake until it started tangling like crazy. Because this material is really prone to tangling, which makes it really great for making dread extensions. So yeah, Anouk Dreadmaker said that this was like the best hair, her favorite that she had used. So I thought, well, she is the queen of making extensions, and I will take her recommendation. And it was about $3 a pack. I bought 3 packs, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be like more than enough to make the extensions. So first off, I'm going to show you what does the extension look like once I've made it. And I make them double-ended with loose hair in the middle so I can cut it and extend it. And once it's cut, it looks like this with this nice smooth edge. So you've got this nice smooth hair on the end, and before I add it to my hair, I actually like to take it and palm roll it so it looks more like this. So I'll take it like this and I'll go. And if you generate a heat, it helps it to wad up. I think Kanekalon, this Kanekalon fiber is, which is synthetic hair fiber, is sensitive to heat, so it will kind of change a little bit when you add heat. I keep one dread to compare the size and make sure that all my extensions are generally the same size and the same length. This one is my first one that I made. It's really fat, so I try to make dreads a bit thinner than this to match up with my hair. See, like, you can see the difference. So let's get started on this. So first off, I'm going to compare about how much hair is in here. So I'm going to take a little bit less than that from the extension, or from the fake hair. So what you do when you separate is I pinch this out, so I have this. You hold these two things very tightly in your hands, or else you're gonna have loose hair strands everywhere. And then I just pull it apart. Again, holding like with white knuckles, holding on to this shit so it doesn't make a mess everywhere. And I normally go put this on a hook, so I'm gonna go hang it on the hook so it doesn't get a mess all over my bed. So now I have put the hair up on the hook over there, and now we can get started on making this dread extension. So what I like to do that might seem a little bit weird, and I probably won't do if I make extensions for people who aren't me, is I like to find the middle of the extension and wrap this middle. I wrap it around my toe, I cross on the bottom, and come up the other side. And I find that this way I have just the right length of a middle, because you need to have at least 2 inches to crochet hook into your own hair for it to work, preferably 3 or so, 2.5. And it just is easy, and you can just like use all your little toes as little hooks and hook stuff. Okay, so the next things that we're gonna need are our 0.50 millimeter crochet hook, not bigger than 0.7 or 0.8. 0.5 millimeters is ideal, I'm telling you guys. Look for them on Amazon, look for them at a sewing store, get the smallest one because they will work the best and the other ones are shitty in my opinion. And if you use the small ones, you'll know. And then you need a comb. I have a couple combs, I don't know which one I like better today. I have this aluminum one that makes cool noise. But really, we're just going to start backcombing. And to backcomb this material, I find that doing a once over with the brush, just in broad strokes, like I went like a stroke this far, a stroke this far, and I'm working my way up just to get it started to be tangled. And it doesn't have to look pretty at all at this point. And then you smooth it out and even undo the backcombing a little bit. This gets your knot started, it makes it a little easier. Alright, so next we're gonna make a little bit smaller strokes. I haven't made one of these since like last week, so my hands are like, backcomb? What? So you can see I'm going from like here to here to here, and I'm doing in smaller intervals with shorter strokes this time. And you want to hold the tip kind of firmly, but not too tight, enough that hairs can escape and you wind up with less in your thumb than you had before. Alright, so you can see I'm leaving this, I comb down the little border on my toe just so I make sure that this middle area is smooth, because if it's not, you can't really crochet hook it into your hair. I mean, if it's already dreaded, you have less area to crochet hook into your hair. So at this point, the backcombing just gets kind of tighter and smaller strokes, and you're just pushing knots from one part to the other, and sometimes the knots will get thin here and the hair will get smooth, but you just keep pulling, so you're pulling knots and pushing them down. I hope that this is making any kind of sense to you guys, or at least watching it is helping you to learn. Alright, so here we have a somewhat okay backcombed dread, but it should be sticking up on its own. This one kind of does. And I also take my guide dread and I hold it up against this so I can estimate how much more I'm going to need to backcomb. And this dread needs to be backcombed about another, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches shorter than it is. See this difference here? So actually it's like here. So see, we need to push these knots down even farther. area of dreaded hair. And so we have like 2 more inches to backcomb down and compress the knots even more. That's pretty good. Now, normally if you're backcombing dread extensions, you want them to be able to totally kind of stand up on their own. This one can for the most part, but it's a little flimsy in some parts. Since we're not sealing this and we're not treating it like a twisted, like super synthetic looking extension and rather crochet hooking it, you don't necessarily have to backcomb it as tightly as you have before. So now what we're going to do is repeat the backcombing on the other side, and I'll try to speed up this segment of the video. Going to crochet hook them, and I have a kind of more in-depth guide on crochet hooking that you can see on other extensions. Basically, crochet hooking, the idea doesn't change. So let's get to
So what I did was I went ahead and I crochet hooked the other side of this dread extension as well. So now we have 2 dread extensions. The middle is a tiny bit short. I would normally make it a little bit longer. But as you can see, this is about 2 inches or about 5 centimeters. And my wrist is 2 inches, so we know that 2 inches, 2 inches. So what you can do, you can leave it in this form for storage or whatever you want. You could take like a stick or a bar or something, or a yardstick, and hang this over it in your bathtub and pour boiling water if you want to add an extra seal to this. I don't do that. I don't know how well it would work, but it's possible. And as for finishing touches, I'm gonna just go ahead and take this hair on the end because it's kind of crazy and ugly. I'm just gonna go ahead and snip at an angle. Yeah, and I'll give it one more snip. Then I palm roll the end so it's a little bit more together. And you have to palm roll with a little bit of heat. And ta-da! This comes undone a little bit sometimes. It's not that important to have like perfect ends. As you can see, my ends are they're just what they are. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and do that to this other side too. If you want to have nice smooth ends, you really probably are going to have to make thicker dreads. And honestly, this is the thinnest dreads probably that I would make with this method. Once you get thinner, you start having to backcomb a lot more, so the dreads become a lot shorter. It's very easy to tightly backcomb a thicker amount of hair and have it stay long because the hair packs down on itself more easily and there's more mass, so you get more length. Um, but yeah, for me right now, I'm just going to take these in the middle and snip them. And here we have 2 synthetic dreadlock extensions.
Hey guys, so this is yet another way to add dreadlock extensions. This is how I add synthetic hair dreadlock extensions. I leave at least 2 inches of loose hair on the end, which makes installing more secure and easy to do. So let's get a dread ready. Alright, so I singled this dread out, and you're going to want to add these kind of extensions at about 3 months to 6 months of maturity. If you have a really tight setup, you can probably afford to do it at 2 months or 1 month like me, but honestly, unless your dreads are very tight, do not add extensions to them until they're at least 3 to 6 months old. They have to be tight to hold in the extension. Very important shit. Alright, so I'm just gonna go over this thread and crochet hook. I've been doing a lot of color processes to my hair. So my dreads have been getting washed and washed and washed and washed, and I haven't bothered to do any maintenance on them for like 2 weeks because, well, it was just a waste because they were just gonna get washed and abused again. So I decided to cut them a break. And I have other videos to show you how to crochet hook root to tip. I just posted one very recently. Alright, so now this thread is, tight enough for me to be happy. And my hair is a little bit different color than the extension, but that isn't too big a deal. Lost my dread. But as I was saying, I usually make more dreads than I need, so I can more easily match up my dread to my extension. And I don't have to worry about having like the perfect one every time. So this thread is fairly thin, and the locked root, the thickest part, the most locked part, is also pretty thin. So I'm going to pick one of the thinner ones, probably this one or this one. But I think this one is a little bit too thin. So what we do is I cut all the wispy ends off my hair, which is another reason my dreads have been loosening, is that their locked tips have become unlocked, so they're like unraveling. And that's, not a big deal. So what I do, I just leave it a blunt tip basically, and I wrap this around, and I just do a quick crochet hook. Again, you must use a 0.50 millimeter crochet hook or something comparatively as small, or else this will not work very well and it will suck and you'll be like, why isn't it working? And I'll look at you and be like, bitch, go buy a 0.5 millimeter crochet hook, okay? So basically I'm just doing what would be considered a technique of regular crochet maintenance to my hair. I keep pinching the hair over and making sure it's wrapped fully around my dread, so the color is covered, and 2, I know that I have a kind of even distribution of the synthetic extension around my own real hair. So that's kind of getting it covered. And if it's uncovered on one side, I just pull it over to the other side and make sure it gets covered. And I like to do more broad strokes to kind of pull the hair through and really get it in when I'm doing it this way. I'm also less cautious when I'm doing this about breaking hairs. Obviously, I'm not just going to like rip my hairs apart, but since it's the very ends of my dreads and since I intend on keeping these for at least a year, I'm going to have plenty of new growth, so I can cut the tips off someday once I decide to remove these if I really want to, if they're damaged or messed up, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just pulling this hair in If you know how to crochet hook, which you should learn if you're going to try to do this and practice, and you won't be perfect the first time, but if you do know how to crochet hook, this is pretty easy, and you're just working the extension into your hair. But yeah, I don't recommend trying to add extensions when your dreads are very mature. If you do want to extend very mature dreads, I recommend maybe if you really can't get a crochet hook into them because they're so dense, that's going to make it really hard to do this. So I would recommend brushing out the bottom maybe 3 or 4 inches of your dreads. Just brush out like this much so you can re-dread it and then attach your extensions to that, because if you're trying to attach to really mature dreads, it might just be kind of a pain in the ass. I would much prefer attaching to my mid-puberty dreads that are kind of tight and kind of loose than I would ever want to try attaching to something that was really tight. Like, I had a dread up here up front and it's super tight because I don't know why. It just magically got that way. And trying to crochet hook an extension onto it was the worst pain in the ass. So, yeah. I'm also kind of liking it. Like, I fixed my green hair color. And now I guess I'm going to wind up with kind of an ombre dreads look until this brown hopefully fades a little bit. So we'll see. And then try to be picky about the top, because you don't want the top to look like one of those blown out dynamite sticks from cartoons when we were little. So just pull that loose frizzy top hair into your dread. And once this is nice and tight, these don't come out. You might need to do maintenance touch-ups just to keep the place where they join your hair tight, but honestly, even just after I had installed these this way, I had a very hard time taking them out to go get my hair color fixed. Like, I had to sit maybe for a couple hours just taking out like 20 of them, so these ones are really secure. And now I'm just going up and down and making sure they're in very, very, very tight. And then you can palm roll it to smooth it out. Honestly, I don't think palm rolling does that much, but sometimes if your synthetic dreads are having kind of a fluffy day, palm rolling them does actually help them to go down a little bit. So, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but this section now is like nicer than the others. But anyway, now this is, ouch, very tight. It's not going to come out unless you make it come out. Again, allow me to rehash the benefits of synthetic dread extensions. 1, the cost. They cost 100 times less than human hair extensions. 2, the length. You can get them like this long for like this much money, whereas human hair extensions, you can get them this long for this much money, you know? So that's a huge advantage. Number 3, they dry very, very, very quickly in the shower. Number 4, they look kind of mature from the get-go, and if you seal them, I think they look even smoother, although I haven't tried myself. So yeah, these are really fabulous. And number 5, no one's going to be able to tell that your dreads are synthetic unless they're really familiar with adding this kind of extension. Otherwise, most people will never ever know. Alright, thanks for watching my guide. I hope to see you all again sometime.